Are you political, Mr. Gaines?
No, sir.
Good. We have no tolerance for politics at the White House.
I'm Cecil Gaines. I'm the new butler.
You hear nothing, you see nothing. You only serve.
You know he got that job himself. The White House called him. He didn't call the White House.
I want to hear all the stories.
I don't know how many stories you're going to hear because they done swore him to some kind of secret code. I'm so proud of you.
Well, y'all, I guess we ain't getting a Tyler Perry movie this year. Lee Daniels took all the black people in Hollywood. Lee Daniels put some Negroes to work this year.
I was waiting for the credits to say every black actor ever.
I mean, when you got Cuba Gooding Jr. in your movie, you know you done scraped up every black president in Hollywood. This is the story. This is about Lee Daniels, and you have to say Lee Daniels the butler because they had this whole dispute. Miramax had some dispute, I think, with Warner Brothers over another movie, a silent movie called The Butler. Go look it up.
Over a silent movie called The Butler?
I believe it was a silent movie. There's a movie out there called The Butler.
There's so many movies that have the same title.
I know. That's why they said, why are you fucking with us about this? There's
Just
a lot of movies out there.
Just another way to keep the black man down.
I'm telling you, man.
See, I thought this was Lee Daniels just saying, like, no, this ain't The Butler. This is Lee Daniels the Butler. When Lee Daniels make a movie, everybody got to know about it.
Yeah. This is me.
Yeah, this is my shit. This is my joint.
My shit, yeah. The hell with a Spike Lee joint, Lee Daniels joint. No. That's so they have to say Lee Daniels the butler, and as Cyrus was saying that earlier today when we were doing another podcast, he's saying that dispute is probably the best thing that happened because you cannot see this title now without saying Lee Daniels the butler and chicken and waffles.
Well, now at the same time, when co-host is looking up the times for when we could go see this, you go like, oh, let's go see The Butler. Huh. Well, I don't see anything that says The Butler, so
I guess threw him off.
Yet. You know, it's going to be a lot of people going like, I guess that movie ain't out yet.
All I kept thinking was like, wow, the white man really doesn't want anyone to see this movie. Nobody wants to go down that great memory lane for you.
Oh, come on. Let sleeping dogs lie. The ones that used to eat your father when he tried to march for his rights.
Yeah. No, hell no.
The guy that Django didn't help out.
Yeah, where was Django, man, when you need him, right?
No shit.
Please. Walking around dressed like Prince.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, you know what? It makes you wonder if this was something that was hard to get funding for, because from what I read about this, it seems like Lee Daniels had to get funding from a bunch of producers out there to get this movie made. I think they got about $30 million together before the Weinsteins came in and said, okay, we'll distribute it.
Really? I always was under the assumption that Oprah paid for the entire thing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she could have, too.
It was like you were at the Oprah taping, and she said, you get a movie, and you get a movie.
Yeah.
Everybody in this room gets a movie.
Lee Daniels is like, I'm glad I showed up for the show.
What a lucky day to show up. And Lee Daniels was like, shit, I want a car.
Where's my Lincoln?
But I think that it would have got distributed anyway, because this movie has, we're talking about the black people that are in this movie, but it has a ton of just a lot of Hollywood actors in here, A-list actors.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, has a ton of white people in it, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you got to have to get the movie made.
That's the only way I'm going to see it.
Yeah, it's the only way white people are going to be able to feel safe to go see this movie. You know, once they see Robin Williams and Alan Rickman, they'll be like, oh, black people don't go see Alan Rickman movies.
All I can think is, wow, Robin Williams is going to help the black man out. Can't wait for that scene.
I know. I think Robin Williams did this movie for a chicken wing.
He might as well have. He was only in it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I know, man. He was there for a day.
And amazingly enough, he did not find a way to crowbar in his black preacher character in there.
You know he probably did, and they edited it out. He probably went to like the makeup department and got in blackface and everything.
Leon, you must have missed the bloopers at the end of the movie. It's there.
Early.
Oh, Mr. Bennett, do I get to play the butler on this scene? You know what? You're done. Just pick up your chair.
Yeah, just go. You're finished. We had more scenes with him, but
or maybe he ate a Snickers bar and he turned into Forrest Whitaker.
Now, magic Snickers.
Forrest Whitaker is your main character in here, a character called Cecil Gaines.
The titular character, you might say.
Yes. Whatever that means. No, got you. No, there's and this is actually based on a real person.
It's inspired by a real person.
Okay, you're right.
True. Yeah, that is true.
Let me go and use that carefully because, when they say inspired by, that usually means we made most of this shit up.
Okay, tell you what, there was a black butler whose name started with a C.
Here's a true story we just made up.
Exactly. Based on or inspired by not even a book or memoir, but an article written about this man named Eugene Allen.
Oh, okay. So he's a real guy.
Yeah. I think that's the person that I'm talking about.
Or we can say it's inspired by black people, right?
Yeah. A guy named Eugene Allen, who they did an article about him because he worked in the White House. He was a butler in the White House for, I think, 34 years.
Wow.
Long ass time.
Yeah, that's a long fucking time.
Now, this movie that's based on this fictional character here played by Forrest Whitaker is about the life of Cecil Gaines, who was a butler in the White House for 8 presidential terms. And he went from being what they call a pantry man, whatever that is. I guess you making cakes and cupcakes and cookies and shit, until he moved up to the highest position in the White House of being a servant, which I think they moved him up to lettuce.
That is,
If he had stuck around 2 more years, he'd have been on shakes.
He could have been peeling potatoes.
But the real story here is, now a lot of people have been calling this a black Forrest Gump, which I kind of take offense to because they just say.
Wait a minute, weren't you calling it?
That was before I saw it.
I only heard Cyrus say that.
Yeah, I did repeat him. I said, I don't want to go see this black Forrest Gump shit.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's fair because, for one, you're trying to call Forrest Whitaker retarded in this, and he's not. And the other thing is that in being sort of a historical drama and a pretty cool period piece, it's also about a man's contrast with his son, about the different ideologies in life. Forrest Whitaker, he's a servant. He's been raised to just shut the hell up. I mean, he saw his father shot.
For not shutting the hell up.
Not shutting the hell up. His father just said, like, hey, not even like, hey, I don't appreciate you that you raped my wife. It's kind of like, hey,
Bam! It sure was like that. I thought this was going to be. The movie opens up with little Cecil Gaines, and he's about 8 years old, and his mother is played by
Mariah Carey.
By Mariah Carey, who does not get a line in here at all.
And maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, but she does get pulled into this shack by the white plantation owner, and her husband comes out, and because little Cecil Gaines is like, Daddy, ain't you gonna say something? You gonna let that shit happen?
As they listen to him like, shut
up. And he's like, no, do something. And then finally he comes up and says, hey. And that's it. Next thing you know, lights out.
I just wish he had a chance to like look at little Cecil and go, see?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, son.
You want those last words while he's looking over his father's dying body, where his father's like, Cecil, yeah, Daddy? Fuck you.
Here's another fine mess you got me into.
So Cecil, from that point on, learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But his son, Lewis, who's later on in the movie played by David Oyelowo.
Boyo Loco?
Topo Chico?
I like this actor a lot. It's amazing how he can play a convincing 14-year-old, and then a couple years ago he was the head biologist on Planet of the Apes. The guy running the corporation.
Yeah, he's a British actor. You've seen this guy before. He can go between. The guy can morph into different things, but his son he's raised in a different age. He's saying, you know what? His son's a civil rights activist.
Yeah.
Are you even in school?
I'm trying to change the way Negroes
You're
are
breaking
treated
the
in this
law.
country.
That judge just sentenced you to 30 days in the county workhouse. You finna get killed.
If I can't sit at any lunch counter I want, then I might as well be dead. We're fighting for our rights.
Rights? Boy, what are you
trying to
talking
change
about?
a nation's consciousness toward the
And the
American
protocol you
Negro.
presenting me? You're a damn liar.
I've been in school.
Hey! Who do you think you talking to? I brought you into this world. I'll take you out of it.
Now he goes from different types of civil rights activists. He goes from the type that gets his ass beat to the type that's very militant. He's been all around.
This guy's been in every part of history for black people. Every photo of every black person persecuted has been this guy.
No, he's a black Forrest Gump Jr. himself.
Yes, he is. He's a black. Yeah, he is a black freedom marcher's Forrest Gump. But yeah, they just don't see eye to eye on things, and that's a theme of a lot of the film. But what I like about this movie is that unlike something like The Help, and a lot of movies that we've seen about black people and their struggles are typically any kind of person in their struggles. There's usually the movie will center and focus on white people helping them out because they feel like that's safe business. That's the way to get white audiences in. You know, we don't want to scare the white people too much.
I want to scare them away. Yeah.
This.
I'm one of them.
We don't want them to be afraid. You know, when black people start screaming at the screen, you know, we want that white person to come on screen and say, "Well, y'all settle down here. Look, there's a white person here now." But this is not that kind of movie. This is a movie that centers mostly on your black actors, your black characters, and you have white actors in here who are playing historical figures, but they're more of the supporting role. This is one of those movies that really focuses on your black characters who don't rely on a white narrative to push this along. Unlike something like, what was that movie we saw with that Octavia Spencer just won for? The Help.
Okay, you mentioned that earlier. That's why
I did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll mention it again. Ain't like The Help.
It ain't nothing like that. Yeah.
Well, and I suppose you have a point there, and you brought up a lot of good things about it. But unlike The Help, this movie feels like a TV movie, at least in the way it's directed.
It feels like there's not much of a story, a personal story going on. At least for the person who is focused on the butler, it's more like him living kind of through his son, seeing what his son is doing, to where at points when the son's not around sometimes, you know, it really, I found myself trying hard to focus on something, you know, to really help with the drama of it, besides it just being kind of like going through the period, going through a period, watching, you know, just blacks get you know, civil rights and all that. You know, it really, I was really trying to grab onto something.
All that nonsense.
All that craziness.
It's one of these things where there's plenty of things here and there to like about it, but at the same time, Lee Daniels, his direction, I don't want to say it's amateurish, but it's not A-list level. It's lacking in things. And honestly, for this to not be a true story, there should have been more drama to it. It's like that gave him more reign to do more things. But it has that, it feels confined, like it is based on a true story where it's like, okay, we can't stray too far from what really happened. But if it's made up, then there's so much more that could have been done. At the same time, there's really good performances from almost everybody in this movie. They just come in like little spurts, and like every time I'd be like going like, all right, here we go, we're back in TV land again. There'd be some little part that I thought was great. And probably my favorite actor in this whole thing, I mean, Forrest Gump, it's his movie. He carries it, especially when he's an old man. He's
Forrest Gump?
Did you I was wondering. I was looking at you. I was waiting for you to pause so I could say Forrest Gump.
I'm sorry.
We're not reviewing Forrest Gump right now.
Forrest Whitaker.
I was about to say, wait, maybe we're talking about two different movies right now.
He was going to be gone, too. He didn't catch it.
I know. I didn't catch it.
He ran past that light and kept going.
But probably my favorite actor in this whole thing was Oprah. I just like every time she was on screen, she played that character in such a way that was real, like a real black woman. You know, she inhabited that part, and she had some of the best lines in the movie.
Because she was so emotionally invested throughout, you know, what was going on with her kids and especially her husband, you know, or dealing with the fact that, you know, he just wasn't there a good part of their lives. You know?
I don't see where you say you didn't feel that there was any emotion there. You're talking about Forrest Whitaker, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, as far as just, it seemed like I was just kind of like he was an avatar of just seeing history take place. You know, there's moments where I don't know. I wanted him to have more of a character in dealing with his sons. Well, but I mean, I see what the movie was trying to do, but I just couldn't buy that the guy wasn't like really getting into it until like the last reel of the film.
Well, you got to keep in mind that this is more of a more quiet performance based on this guy's role in life. I mean,
yeah, and I get
he
that.
Is reduced to, and I think it's a great performance on his part. I think it's an amazing performance. Him and Oprah. Oprah plays Gloria Gaines, his wife, and they have amazing dialogue together. But he is sort of a quiet observer because he has to be.
Right.
I mean, he can't say too much. He's in a position, and they make a big point of the movie to tell you this. He's in a position where you could tell that there are things that are bothering him, but he can't say anything because his job is at stake. I mean, at one time his life is at stake, but then later on in life, he's in the middle of all these political decisions being made, and these decisions are being made about him and the people around him and black people in general, and he cannot say anything about it. And just to look on his face at times and the frustration that he has, I think that said enough more than any kind of line that he had to say in the movie. I mean,
not just frustration, but fear. That's what he carried off really well. Realizing, like, I like this president. He treats me well, but he's also making a decision that affects not just my people, but my son directly. Yeah, and I can't say shit.
And he goes home and he takes his anger out, on his son, because he doesn't know what else to do to protect his son. He wants his son to stop being this person, even though we might see, and this is what I like about the movie. I mean, it's a parallel. You get to see why his son feels like he does, and you get to see why Forrest Whitaker feels like he does. But you get to see where they don't see eye to eye because, I mean, his father's working. This guy's out doing his thing, and they just don't see how their lives are affected by what's going on around them. I think they handled that very well. I tell you what I didn't. I mean, you're probably talking about like a TV movie. I didn't see it like a TV movie. I thought this movie had really great production, especially for some of the period pieces that we had in there. I just thought that it was blatantly going for that Oscar. I mean,
sure. I mean, everybody movie wants to do that, and you get a cast like this and something historical. You want that. But where I say TV movie is that, well, like one thing that's like, okay, you have all the presidents that he serves with, all the way from Harry Truman all the way through to Ronald Reagan, and you have these actors come in and play these presidents, and none of them ever feel like those presidents. They're just like, okay, it's this actor pretending to be this president or filling in. Like, I mean, the best one was Liev Schreiber as LBJ.
Yeah.
He was actually funny. Like, he was so funny that it was enough to be distracting. But everybody else was kind of like just
Did
dressing.
they show him serving with Truman? I thought they started with Eisenhower.
Was that
was
Robin Williams? He was Eisenhower?
Robin Williams was
he
Eisenhower.
was.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like trying to do the timeline. But he had those big glasses, made me think Truman.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But also, there's those predictable beats. Like when somebody's about to die or something bad about to happen.
You can see it coming.
It's like you can smell it like ozone in the air.
Yeah, you're right.
A lightning strike.
Now, see, you just nailed my other complaints in the movie. I didn't even have a chance to get to them because you got them. I totally agree with you. None of those presidents that they had, none of them. I don't even with Liev Schreiber. I thought. I mean, these are good actors, and they're doing their job and they're doing it well, but. Like guys with Halloween masks on. And I tell you,
not even much Halloween.
No, there's no bad special effects. I mean, it's the first time where I'm like, I applaud a movie for them not trying to go overboard with getting these actors to look just like the presidents. Where it didn't bother me as much because I'm not really here for that. I'm not here to see a costume contest.
That hairpiece on Alan Rickman as Ronald Reagan.
Well, not to say they all worked. Yeah,
I was gonna say there's the best one that they had. That had the least makeup was John Cusack as Nixon. All they did was put a nose on him, a pointed nose, and I said, "That's it." I said, "He's good," and he wasn't in there that much, but I thought he actually did a great job. The one I did not buy was Alan Rickman as Ronald Reagan. I was like,
really?
You wouldn't even try, man.
I actually liked him.
Oh, really? Yeah. I was like, wait, so is Ronald Reagan going to fight Bruce Willis at some point?
He just looked so funny to me. I was like,
no, he was making me laugh, but not in that good way. Not like laughing with him. I'm laughing at how ridiculous this is.
I was waiting for him to rap to Forrest Whitaker is rapping Ronnie. Well.
Yeah, you actually started doing that in the movie.
I know, I was doing that in the movie.
I almost busted out loud laughing, man.
That was my favorite moment.
I said, co-host, stop. There's white people sitting next to me. I don't want to scare them, all right?
They should stop being racist about my rap.
You know what? One person that did all right, but it wasn't special, was James Marsden as Kennedy.
Yeah,
I liked him.
I liked him okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like really. With him, I was like, maybe with just like a little prosthetics, just I don't know exactly what. He could actually play Kennedy for a while. It could have just focused on that because he was fine. Minka Kelly as Jackie O. That was sick. Come on.
But you know what? James Marsden coming in, I would have been like, damn, man, everybody else get makeup. I don't get no makeup because they didn't give him shit. They gave him a comb. Right. They said, comb your hair back like Kennedy, and that's it.
But, I don't know. I'm still trying to nail what my real problem was with the film because, honestly, I mean, you guys, Forrest Whitaker was outstanding. I get the character that he was playing, especially with him being a contrast to his son. I don't know. Maybe I wanted more scenes with them together because that seems like the only like real highlight, especially with him and Oprah. I wanted more of that, I guess, because I felt after a while it did feel like we were just kind of treading through history with this guy.
If I can say, because maybe me explaining what I meant by Oscar bait or an Oscar film, I was talking about what you were saying, that predictability of it.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking, I didn't mean like it was, I mean, every movie should have ambition to be great and go for an Oscar, sure, but what I mean by an Oscar film is one that just seems like, and maybe they weren't, but it seems like it's just carefully hitting those Oscar beats. There's these scenes right here where the music swells. You talked about, you knew when people were gonna die.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a part in the movie where I even pantomimed when somebody gonna die, like, oh
yeah,
and you saw it coming.
We did. We really did. Yeah.
Almost every death was like, okay. Let me go ahead and set my watch. I know it's coming. 5, 4, 3, 2, boom.
But there was some good. Man. I mean, this movie is riding off some great. See, you say, and this is why I disagree with you when you say that it feels like Lee Daniels has TV direction, because there were so many scenes where a lot of actors were having some great interaction with each other, and a lot of them were supporting actors. Cuba Gooding Jr. I thought he was pretty good in this.
I thought this was the best he's been in
a long time. Yeah, he was great, man.
Like when he first pops up, I was like, you get that little bit of like, oh no, he's gonna be flat. But no, he was great. Between him and Lenny Kravitz and Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard was good.
All them yellow boys was great.
Terrence Howard played the old school Negro, man. Running numbers, got a gold tooth in his mouth, and got that. Go give me some. Go give me something to drink.
I love that. I love that missing tooth thing. I was thinking like
gold tooth.
Was it? It looked like a missing. Yeah, it looked like it was missing the whole time. Yeah, it looked like he just had a gap. Yeah, I was wondering if that was like his real teeth. Like
like somebody really knocked his tooth out.
I was staring at it. And there was like a certain angle. I was like, I think he's got it painted black. He got a little too black.
That's why I thought it was gold.
Were you guys surprised though that storyline that was going on there, that subplot that they had going on, that really didn't end up going where you thought it probably would have gone?
It did.
Yeah. Well, sorta. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things to me. Like watching it, I'm thinking because I'm thinking this is more based on a true story than it is. You tell me like the real guy isn't even named Cecil, so that means they had room. That had the liberty to do whatever they want.
Right.
So I'm surprised that they put that in there and it didn't have more of a conclusion.
Well, I wish I could say where it is, because there's a subplot going on with Oprah in here. And I understand what's going on with her and her character. I think they said very well what was happening with her.
I guess I get it. Yeah. I mean, it was her slide, and then she came back out of it.
It seemed like another opportunity to have something really dramatic happen between that, in that family, especially dealing with the fact that, the lead is hardly there at home. It could have been another dramatic beat that it could have taken, but I don't know.
Boy, just think of what Tyler Perry would have done with that.
Exactly. That's the thing, yeah. But
blown that shit up.
You talking?
You can't be subtle.
Terrence Howard?
Yeah.
Oh, Terrence Howard would have been going through the movie slapping every black woman in here.
Well, he wasn't rich though, so he couldn't have been the villain.
It don't matter.
He liked the light skinned brother, so Terrence Howard would have come out as the hero somehow.
He would have won the lottery and then went around slapping black women, and then would have found Jesus at the end of the movie. Yeah, man. You know what? I went in. I was talking shit about this movie. And I said I don't want to see some more.
Sure were.
Oh, yeah. I just, like I said, I was talking shit. I said I get tired of seeing these black people playing butlers and maids and.
Well, I hope you don't get too tired. We just saw a bunch of sneak previews for like 4 other movies coming our way.
They showed the whole black struggle before this movie. There were about 5 black trailers that they showed.
Yeah, we got Nelson Mandela coming up. And we got Chiwetel Ejiofor
17 years a slave.
Man who got thrown in as a slave.
Boy, the Academy Award their head is gonna explode because they're like, shit. We got a butler, a slave.
This year we ain't got no choice but to nominate a nigger. I mean, an American.
They're gonna have to make a black Oscar. That's what's gonna happen.
They're gonna have to turn to the BET Awards.
I know.
Shit, don't let a movie come out about a retarded black man. They're not gonna know what to do.
Just throw their hands up like, God, shit.
Just let them have it.
Once again, played by Forrest Whitaker.
Now that I was just saying, man, I don't want to see that stuff again. But I thought this was a movie that was about empowerment, hope, and it wasn't just and not depending on other people. Just how to dealing with your own issues and getting around that, whether you end up with tragic results or whether it ends up in very hopeful results. Oh, the other thing that I can't complain about in this movie, thought the makeup was great. And while I'm talking about aging, let me just say this first. This kind of movie is one of those movies where they're taking their time. They're telling their story, they're developing everything until somebody looks at that watch and say, shit, we got to hear this shit up. And then they throw in that montage. and all of a sudden your characters go from around 40 to 110. They come back looking like goddamn orcs out of Lord of the Rings. So I thought the makeup was great up until they actually had to be old, and then all the black people, when they had to be real old, they just started looking like wet paper bags.
Well, I thought the makeup, most of it was great, was phenomenal, but inconsistent. Yeah. Like, it was inconsistent how people would age. Like the guy who hired Forrest Whitaker was older than him, and yet somehow he didn't age as fast.
No.
And
yeah.
and it'd be like Oprah and even like the other butlers. They all stayed the same age for 40 years, and then one day age just caught up to them all at once.
Well,
she went from 45 to 95 in a day.
Well, Cuba Gooding Jr., we were laughing because it looked like he fell on some gravel and got up, and the gravel was still on his face. Where I'm like, what the hell? Did he turn into a mutant or something? What's going on here?
Dragged his face through the mud, man. I mean, it was.
And Oprah looked pretty bad too at the end. I was like, really? That's how you?
It was. I wouldn't have minded if it hadn't been such a drastic jump.
Yeah.
If they could have made it gradual. Although I thought, with Forrest Whitaker being the lead, I felt like his makeup team was on it.
Oh yeah,
his old man makeup. I thought it was some of the best I've seen.
You mean when they took off his makeup to make him young?
Well, that was the thing too, man.
They couldn't fix that eye.
I thought it was going to play into the story where like a racist white guy punched him in the eyes. Like, one day his eye just decided to go to sleep. Now wake up again.
His eye decided to retire early.
And that's the thing. They don't even try to be consistent with how they cast some of the young people, the old people. They go from young Forrest Whitaker, which is another actor, to being Forrest Whitaker, where nobody apparently looks like Forrest Whitaker when they're young.
My favorite was the scene where the son.
The son that played Charlie Game.
Yeah. We didn't see that kid for a while. We're like, what happened to that kid? And then he shows up as a teenager, where it's like they hired Chris Rock or somebody with Chris Rock's voice. Hey guys,
I was trying to laugh when he came in.
I know
the son. Whoever's playing the youngest son of Forrest Whitaker, that kid, he kind of talked like this.
Yeah.
Hey, Daddy. But then they bring in the other actor as a teenager, and that kid comes in like, hey, Daddy.
it's Chris Tucker.
Oh, yeah, Chris Tucker. Hey, Daddy. What's going on, Dad? Laughing. That actor who plays a teenager version is Elijah Kelly. And I'm going to tell you something. That kid, he's a scene stealer, man.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah,
he was great.
Because he was almost like an afterthought. They're like, let's go ahead and just throw in one more scene in him. And he took that scene.
He nailed it, yeah.
Everything he was in, because almost every scene he's in, he's meant to be funny, and he is hilarious when he comes in. He's much needed comedy relief. I will say, man, I guess one of the things I admire about this movie, too, is my stomach was churning when they showed parts of the Civil Rights March.
When they do the counter synod.
Oh, at Woolworths,
every time I see photos of that, I get that feeling.
Oh man, they captured. I thought they captured that pretty well. That was heart wrenching, man. I mean, I had to put my head down for a moment. That was rough. And people who don't know is when you had some black civil rights marches go into a Woolworths.
Students.
It's students, young people. They say, hey, we want to be served just like everybody else, and they sit in the white section at the counter. And they don't move. Of course, it's only a matter of time before that mob comes in. You hear coon, monkey, nigga, and ketchup goes flying in people's faces.
They're throwing milkshakes in their face.
Hot coffee.
Yeah.
That's what got me.
I love when the actor that played Lewis, when he was trying to be tough to the whole thing, like, you only gonna get to me. And that dude picked up that hot coffee through his face like,
Hey man, that shit wasn't funny.
Yeah, I know.
Let me do that.
I know.
Hey, that's why I'm laughing. I know exactly what I do.
We were trying hard not to laugh during that scene.
Yeah, no. Yeah, me and Cole something. You got cough in your face. No.
Every white person turned
I was
around.
there.
I know. I was about to say, it's at the end of the movie said thank everyone who fought for civil rights for black people. I turned around.
Yeah, Leon,
I wanted to thank Leon. Thank you, Leon.
Yeah, Leon was all right in the colored section where he knew his place.
He was like, you always starting trouble than black people. Can't read comics in peace in this place.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. There were so many things that I think they got right in this movie, and there's so many things that we say that they don't. And a lot of those things, I'm trying to put those in perspective to the things that I do like about this movie. And I'm thinking about, all right, makeup, the music and all that. I mean, yeah, that stuff does kind of bring the movie down for me, but I really did feel the emotion behind this film, and like I said, these performances. I mean, it's great to see Oprah Winfrey acting again because I was about to laugh that off.
Well, that's the thing. Watching her in this, I just felt like, man, I felt like we really lost the real talent. But all those years she spent on TV, she should have been in more movies.
That was just. I mean, I could see in these performances people that I grew up with, people I related to, and I don't want to judge this movie based on just how I can relate to it based on my own experiences. I really do think that there were a lot of great performances in here. I'm really torn between like oh shit, I hate even doing this. You don't look at me like I'm crazy, Cole. It's a low matinee a high matinee or a low full price, but I don't know, man. I'm behind this movie. I really want to see it do well. I think after seeing a lot of things where they have something to say and they overplay it, or seeing movies these days where they have nothing to say at all, this is something that I kind of admire. I'm going to give this a low full price.
Okay.
And I see you guys already going to give it a lower rating, but I want to let you know that I totally understand where you're coming from.
Okay, good. I want to
A rental.
Some old bullshit.
Some bullshit. Can't believe this is the one movie Corey likes.
But you know what? For everything we've been bringing up about it, I know my overall feeling was, wow, there's a lot of this that's clumsy or just kind of flat. And even I appreciate that they dive into, and at least that they touch upon these important civil rights moments. But at the same time, it is kind of like they're sort of glossing over it. I kept feeling like, and then some of those things, not to make a joke, but I was like, yeah, I was alive and conscious when this was going on, and they are not paying this enough attention. They are not bringing this home to people who don't know about it, who are just coming in, and they're the ones who really need to see it. I was there. I know what happened. So I wish it could have spent more time with that, and having this not be a true story, not being shackled by that. There's so much more that could have been done with it, and not have the music swell at those times, not be so predictable in the beats, and just a little bit more, art-wise direction. There's so many, people really talented who could have brought this to life more than it was. There's a lot of good things in it, and we certainly brought all those things up, and I won't take that away from it. I spent so much of it thinking like, yes, it's kind of a high rental to me, but actually, those things there's those things that push it over enough for me to give it a low matinee.
Yeah, I'm kind of there. I'm kind of there with you, Leon. And like I said, once again, just to clarify, not too much about my problems with the lead character, Forrest Whitaker, is that I think the beats that they had with him dealing with his son every time his son went out to do something, I think that felt a bit repetitious after a while.
Sure.
And I think that's my main kind of problem with it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, no, I think the acting that's kind of the highlight of this film. Just seeing everyone really put out their A game, because obviously it's a story everyone really cares about to tell, and that really comes through watching the performances. Even though I wish some of the getting into the more civil rights things, I wish that wasn't so much like a highlight reel.
Exactly.
Watching it. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a matinee. I definitely think people who want to see this are going to get something out of it. I know I did. But yeah, I mean, it's a matinee for me.
You know what it is? It's like I enjoyed so many things about this movie, but normally when a movie like this is done right, there would have been a point where I might have thought about, I might have teared up in some of it. And I never even came close to that.
Yeah. I didn't either. Yeah. That's one of the things that didn't happen. I think I did it more at the beginning than I did later on in the movie. By the way, that was a rapper that played his father. That was David Banner.
David
the
Banner.
Hulk.
The Hulk. Yeah, I mean, I'm not
He should have
lying.
hulked out when that man put that gun on him.
That's what I thought. You know, when they raped his wife, he should have like hulked out. Like, hey.
And a Hulk smash rap.
Hey.
Everything you are and everything you have is because of that butler.